Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and welcome to tonight's NASCAR 07 Mark Martin Revenge Tour season race as we are getting down to the final dozen races on this Cup Series season for NASCAR 07. And coming into this one here tonight, we are at the 2-mile oval at the Michigan International Speedway for this event, a track in which Mark Martin has won at in his Cup Series career. Tonight we try to get him yet another one at the Michigan International Speedway. As far as this one in particular, the odds are going to be a little bit stacked against us. Was not that quick in qualifying. 23rd on the first lap. Picked up a little bit on lap 2 to 20th. I made some adjustment changes from qualifying that'll hopefully help me for the race. I don't know by how much. It's going to be very interesting to see how this is going to go about. But it might be a fuel economy race as well. We saw that at Indy in a particularly bigger oval. Just 2 races ago, Jimmy Johnson won that race. Johnson on the pole here in tonight's race, so maybe he can try to get 2 wins in the last 3 races. Our last 2 finishes were 6th in that Brickyard 400 2 days ago. Yesterday's race at Homestead Miami Speedway ended up finishing in 4th. So trying to capitalize and get a win for the first time in 3 races here today. All right, green flag is in the air. We're racing. 4th consecutive day of NASCAR 07 for the Cup Series season. Oh boy. Not the way I wanted to get the start going. Kind of spun the tires on the initial start. I'm just trying to get out of harm's way at this point. I mean, spun my tires off the start and made contact with Joe Nemechek and bounced off the wall. There we go. Nothing like losing 8 positions in the first half of the lap. On the first lap of the race. Got 2 of them back. In turns 3 and 4. Another one on the front stretch. Yeah, I took a little wedge to try to help loosen it up a bit. I took some wedge out of it, I should say, to try to loosen it up post-qualifying. Got to take care of the car tonight. Can't afford to have an issue like we did at Homestead that really hurt our chances in winning that race. Mightily. Getting into a crash. You go to these higher speed ovals. This one even more high speed at Michigan than what we saw at Homestead. Had 11 cautions in that race yesterday afternoon. Oh boy. Wasn't trying to make contact. I was trying to side draft him. I got hooked on him. Kyle Busch did win that race at Homestead. Oh my goodness. A little too aggressive for my liking here in the early laps. Something happened to Kyle Busch off turn 4. I don't know what it was. He had to get way out of the gas. I don't know if he almost made contact with Scott Riggs above us or what that was. Wait, Zelensky, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, he did have a hit the other night. Dylan Dingler. I think he had a walk. He was one of those many walks in the 9th inning, too. Brian Berwick, Billy Kramer, also thanks for tuning in. So Greg Biffle leading laps in the early going. I believe Jimmy Johnson led the first couple. Biffle now out in front. He led quite a few laps at Homestead yesterday. Mark Martin ended up actually leading the most laps in each of the last 2 races despite not getting a win. 3 races in a row total, he's led the most laps because he did win and lead every single lap, all 312 at Phoenix 3 races ago. Oh, man, I got tight right in the middle of the corner. I'm surprised I got glued to Stewart the way I did when I made contact with him. That thing just shoved up the racetrack right in the middle of the corner. It's like so hard to make passes here. The track's wide enough, but the groove really narrows up a ton. Since the start. Martin going to pass it for 12th place through turns 1 and 2, though. Jeff Gordon to the lead now. Martin under Jeff Burton. Fastest lap of the race out of 7 was that last lap. Newman trying to block on the back straightaway. Martin went all the way to the apron. Trying to get underneath him. That did not work. Bobby Labonte in the top 10. He's trying to go for 4 straight top 10 finishes tonight. He's definitely had a good slew of races. Big run by Martin. Apron not going to be successful there through turns 1 and 2. Trying to stay as low as he can off the exit of the corner. Go up, try to get some draft off the back of Newman's car, and this should get him out ahead of Casey Mears and Bobby Labonte through 3 and 4. And that's exactly what happened. It's kind of like Indy 2, where nobody's breaking away from the field at the very front due to the draft down these long straightaways. Martin clears Newman for 7th. Trying to get under his teammate Matt Kenseth through 3 and 4. Does just that. Pass for 6th made. Sadler and Kurt Busch running side by side is going to help me stay in the draft with these guys. They'll slow each other down enough. 17 homers, too. Yeah, he had 17 homers. I think he had 51 RBIs at least going into the game. I can't remember if he was one of the walks that walked in a run late or not. So he might have gotten another RBI off of that as well. Yeah, statistically, at least based off of every starter that was in that game the other night, he was probably the best. I know he was the best for average. He had the most home runs. What am I doing? I'm trying to stay low is what I'm doing, but I'm going way too low. I have to block Labonte on the front stretch now. A lot of straightaway speed lost. I mentioned I was being a little too aggressive here in these opening laps. It's panned out so far, and I've kept the car relatively clean, all things considered. I need to dial it back now that I'm up in the top 10 finally. Biffle got back by Gordon. Jimmy Johnson followed the 16 to get to 2nd. Gordon is in 3rd, but Sadler looks underneath him now off turn 4 as Jeff Gordon's getting brake trained all of a sudden. Kurt Busch in the draft behind Sadler. That should help him out. Martin trying to get a draft off Kurt Busch behind as well, but he's a few extra car lengths back. And Sadler's clear for 3rd. And Elliott Sadler had a quick car in the very beginning of the race yesterday, but still rallied for a top 10 finish. He ended up 10th at Homestead at the end of the race. Torque at 7 RBIs yesterday. My goodness. He was 0 for 5. Him and Badu were 0 for 5 when I went. That's not going to help him get back to the majors, but the 7 RBIs in a game, eh? Johnson under Biffle for the lead. Sadler fell to 5th. Martin with a run on the back straightaway. Wider lane through 3 and 4 this time. Gordon gets by Kurt Busch. Martin to the inside of the 2. Trying to get a draft off Jeff Gordon. Yep. He's got enough of one. No drafting help in front of Kurt Busch on that outer lane on the front stretch, and Martin's going to get the 4th. So you got 2 Hendrick Chevys and 2 Roush Fenway Fords in the top 4 positions. And then a Penske Dodge in 5th. Robert Yates Ford in 6th. And he had a grand slam. Cool. Oh, contact with Biffle. Now Martin looking for 2nd. Picks him up and puts him down. All clear. Probably abuse these tires trying to pass as many cars as I have in the early laps. I'm perfectly okay with riding in 2nd behind Johnson for a while. Try to get away from Jeff Gordon, hopefully. And as we get later in the run, get a car in that rear spoiler. Especially with the adjustment changes I made post-qualifying, I would imagine it's going to get looser on the long runs like I was at Homestead yesterday. Granted, most of that was because of the damage on my car. Not really having much damage at all here. At least Johnson's running the bottom of the track, not like most of the guys last night contending for the race win, and really most of the AI in general. After that first fuel run, just started moving to the middle or outside lane of the racetrack and tried to run that line through the corners. Say it definitely wasn't working out for him too well. Middle upper group through 3 and 4 that time for Johnson. Able to save some gas running behind Johnson, trying to force him to push harder than what I'm pushing. Stay in the draft. I mean, again, we had a fuel mileage race in Indianapolis in the Brickyard 400 2 days ago, and if this goes caution-free just like that race did, we're going to have another fuel mileage race in this one, and Johnson won that race, so just kind of patiently sit behind him. Considering we just had this happen a couple races ago, you'd have to imagine there's a good possibility it can end up happening again. "23 laps complete in this one. 2-car breakaway from the rest of the field. Clearly have a long way till we get to lap traffic yet, too, so this is going to be a good strat, I think. Definitely got to race a little smarter than I have the last 2 races. Honestly, I was scared coming in considering how poorly I qualified, but obviously the adjustments I made post-qualifying have helped me out quite a bit. The qualifying 20th scared me. I didn't think I was going to have a lot of speed. I did mess up my second lap a little bit. I think I could have probably qualified better than 20th, but... yeah, see, it's definitely going to be a fuel mileage race. We just got to keep saving behind Johnson. Right at lap 25, we hit halfway out of gas, and that was really in the middle of 3 and 4, so we are right on the border of being able to make this race on 3 stops. So definitely saving gas early. I think if we could save gas earlier in this position versus having to play like defense most of the time and pushing the car extraordinarily hard, I think I can end up making it. And this is going to force Jimmy Johnson into more than likely not being able to make it because he's running the fastest times on the racetrack with me. Not technically pushing him, but kind of pushing him. At least he's not drafted behind anybody. Troy, thanks for tuning in, man. KRC does rule, by the way. Got a raise? That's pretty cool. Sounds like a good work day. I don't know. I don't really have a... Baseball's so unpredictable. I feel like typically, though, a lot of young guys like this, they don't have much of a scouting report behind them. So they tend to kind of fire out of the gate strong for the first week or two. Especially in the middle of the season. See it all over the place around the league. Almost 100, jeez. That is a scorcher. It's supposed to get up in the 90s here in the next few days. For a consistent stretch of time yet again. That's warm for me. Some of you that might live down south are like, oh, that's nothing. Compared to what you guys get for heat, yes, it is. It is nothing. I do agree. But you guys don't have to deal with the winters that we deal with, so kind of, it comes and goes. I mean, I know I saw him in person Saturday. I don't know what that's supposed to do for prediction. It's way different. AAA is way different from Major League Baseball. I mean, you see guys... I feel like pitchers tend to flounder a little bit more than hitters when it comes to making the transition from the minor leagues to the big leagues. There was some dude that made his debut for Louisville, technically be, again, the Cincinnati Reds farm system the other day, too. His name is Ivan Johnson. I've never heard of him. I don't know who he is, but got his first career AAA hit in the first inning. And a double off the right field wall. Lefty. I didn't realize it at first because I didn't say anything like over the PA system or whatever, but you can hear some of the guys from the dugout like yelling for the ball, like threw the ball in, and then his batting average was a 1 dot after that. I'm like, oh, that was probably his first career hit. Pretty cool to see. Yeah, your weather's probably worse off than mine up in Michigan. Temperature-wise, it's probably about the same, but... Yeah, you guys probably get more snow than I do. If I lived a little bit closer to Lake Erie, I'd probably get a lot more snow than what I do, but in the wintertime, we don't get nearly as much now as what we did when we were younger. By we, I mean my family. So I don't know why I said we, like I was talking about all of us collectively. That clearly wasn't the case. Good laps going right now for Mark Martin. That first lap car going to be coming up on fairly soon. Should get to him before lap traffic. As far as anybody else, before green flag pit stops come up, I don't think we'll catch anybody else. Field should space out a little more once they get their stops as well. Looks like it's actually 2 cars. I thought it was just 1. Track map, it looked like 1, but I think I see 2 of them up ahead. So again, we are getting pretty close to that. And just continuously saving gas behind Jimmy Johnson. Running that inside lane in the draft. Quarter tank of gas left on the back straight that time. We're on lap 38. Fastest lap of the race that last time, too. 38.740 for Mark Martin. It's like those cars almost made contact up there. Oh, they were going to end up in the wall. They went pretty wide in the corner, too. Lap 40. Dave Blaney, Paul Menard are these first 2 lap cars of the race. Johnson and Martin drive down to the inside of both of them. Whoa, a little contact there. Honestly, just kind of riding in line behind him, too. I'm really conserving the tires quite a bit also. They haven't gotten up into the yellow in the tire wear indicator yet, so that's good. Again, green flag pit stops coming up very, very shortly. I have to try to stretch this run all the way out to lap 50, if at all possible. High-rated speeds off into turn 1, 200 miles an hour that time at the end of the front stretch. This was proclaimed the fastest track in NASCAR up until the 550 package came into play for Cup Series and kind of got taken away from the fastest track in NASCAR. I don't know what the next gen, if it is or not, as far as high speeds go. I know they still go up over 200 into turn 1, but We see that also in the draft at Daytona Talladega, too. So back in the good old days of these cars going over 215 miles an hour into turn one. It's always fun to watch. Boy, I had to lift quite a bit there off of turn two. Car got a little loose, and I saw Elliott Sadler blowing an engine down on the bottom of the racetrack. Hard about skipped a beat there. I thought I was going to drill him. Tough break for Sadler. Engine failure after running in the top 5 in the early going of tonight's race. Yes, I will be at Michigan. I will be at Michigan for the Cup race in particular. I plan on doing commentary for the Xfinity race that weekend, as well as Cup practice and qualifying that Saturday afternoon, but the plan is to go to the race Sunday, so there will be a race highlight video from the grandstand that night. And any other future races, of course, that I go to in person. Oh, we're at lap 47 right now. Again, trying to make it to lap 50 in particular here. Jamie McMurray's on pit road for Roush Fenway Racing. Johnson cutting way down to the bottom of the back straightaway. I wonder if he's going to be pitting this time. Got quite a few other cars on pit road. Johnson is not pitting this time off turn 4. Martin will continue to ride in line behind him on the front stretch as well as the back straightaway this next time by also. Martin all over that back bumper, the 48 here. It's going to be really close on making it to lap 50. I mean, you got to push it this early in the race. Especially with Jimmy Johnson still out on the racetrack. Surprised Johnson's been able to go just as far. Lap 49. Lap car coming out of the pits up there. Martin out of the gas really early. That time getting into turn 3. Going to try to push it one more lap here. Lap 50 at the line. And Mark Martin will pit this time by. And Jimmy Johnson, again, still out on the racetrack. Had to push it this far on fuel to have any sort of a chance to make this race on 3 stops. Martin off the exit of turn 2 right now. Try to get in the draft behind Jimmy Johnson. Johnson to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to pit this time, it looks like. Martin obviously will pit as well. And, yep, we can coast in from here. We're going to make it. 50-lap run for Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson. Now the race is coming into the pits. Can't speed. Dang it. Well, we did speed, unfortunately. It looked like he went down to pit road just as fast as I did. Did it not? I mean, like, I gained a lot of time on it, but it looked like when we hit the commitment line, we were even with one another, and I got busted for speeding, and he probably didn't. I was at 73 miles an hour at the commitment line. Speed limit is 70, so that will be a 5-second penalty for Mark Martin. There goes Johnson out of the pits. It did look like we were like even. Oh my gosh. Pulling out of our boxes, Denny Hamlin was pulling in. A lot of contact in the back of the 6. Johnson's going to be way ahead of us now. Kyle Petty still out on the racetrack. He has not yet hit pit road. Looking to get 5 bonus points. Well, the good news is I made it as far as I needed to on fuel. The bad news is Jimmy Johnson made it just as far. I did speak too soon. I mean, it's weird. Like, I'm not going to fault myself for speeding. I was definitely speeding. But what I'm getting at is I felt as if me and Johnson were going the exact same speed when we crossed the commitment line. So therefore, you would think Jimmy Johnson was speeding too. But he's not going to get docked for it, and I am. So he's going to keep the lead. I don't even know what position I'm going to be in when the cycle's through. I'll probably be in second place still. We were quite a ways ahead of everybody else. I don't know if Jeff Gordon was in second or if Greg Biffle, or sorry, I was in third or Greg Biffle was in third before the pit stop started. We're right in front of the Biff right now. And unfortunately, too, because Johnson stayed out as long as we did, Mark Martin has not led a lap yet in the race. Wish that next car all the way up there is Jimmy Johnson. I don't think it is. And if it's not somebody for position, it's a lap car then. Kyle Petty's still on the racetrack. Kyle Petty's gaming the system. He's got that extra large fuel tank. He's not pitting this time either. He's going to make it to lap 56 at least here. Mark Martin's about a second a lap faster than the 45. A couple tenths slower than a second faster a lap, but I definitely gave it all I had trying to get to pit road. I gained some time on him coming into the pits, just end up giving it back up and then some by speeding. Good thing it's only a 5-second penalty and it's not like a drive-through, or it'd be at the tail end of the lead lap. Petty's still leading. Still leading. Is he just going to run it out of gas? I feel like we've seen that before in this game. About 8.5 seconds behind Petty at 4th place position for Mark Martin. Lap 58 off turn 2. Kyle Petty's the only driver that has not hit pit road in this race. Getting a decent amount of laps led as a result of it. I mean, maybe he's just staying out to get a caution at this point. I don't know. There's not many cars a lap down, though, because this track's so big. So I don't know that That would be a great strategy here. I mean, he would get on fresh tires with the cars around him, I guess, but not something you see every day at Michigan. Somebody going 59 laps on fuel. My goodness. He's got that Brad Keselowski Brickyard 400 tank from a couple weeks ago. Problem is, I'm not saving as much gas in this run because I'm having to push to catch up to Jimmy Johnson. Called one lap car this entire run. Second car now is David Stremme. Got a little draft off the front stretch, but that's not going to be a lot. So we're definitely going to be burning a lot more fuel this run than that first run to try to make it 50. So that's the danger of falling behind at that speeding penalty, really. So now we're having to play catch up, and then when we get to Johnson, we're going to have to sit in line behind him again and hope we save the rest of the run. Kyle Petty has made it to lap 61. What if he just doesn't have to pit this whole race? Just goes the whole race without pitting. I don't even know how he's gone 61 laps. Everybody else pitted around lap 50. Couple before, couple after. This man's made it 10 extra laps compared to anybody else. I mean, even some of the back markers who might be as slow as him have already pitted too, so I don't know. Lap 62. Less than 6 seconds behind him now. We were 11.5 seconds behind Petty when we first came out of the pits. About a dozen laps ago. 2 more lap cars up ahead. Reed Sorensen, I'm not sure who the car in front of him is quite yet. A little draft off Sorensen on the back straightaway, and the next car is Jeff Gordon. Gordon in third would be a position. Big run on the front stretch here for Mark Martin. Sorensen going to give Martin plenty of room to make the pass through 1 and 2. Quite a big gap between where Johnson's at, where Jeff Gordon's at on the racetrack. Johnson still hasn't passed Kyle Petty yet either. Kyle Petty, lap 64, has not hit pit road yet in this race. Johnson's right behind him, though. I see him up there. Low exit there for Martin's going to try to catch some draft on the back straightaway behind Gordon. Going to try to look to make this pass for position. In turns 3 and 4, Martin on the inside of the 24. Off the exit of turn 4. Mark Martin is not clear yet. Slides up, and now he's clear of Gordon at the start-finish line. Tried to force him into a lifting position there. And it worked. I didn't make contact with him. It was a clean pass, too. Just trying to get back underneath me with the crossover, but couldn't quite do it. Trying to break the draft in the backstretch. And I'll try to pull Gordon if I can here. Johnson on the inside of Kyle Petty for the lead. Actually, I think Petty is pit. There's somebody on the back straightaway, it looks like. I thought Johnson might have been underneath Kyle Petty. He passed a car, at least, just now through turns 1 and 2. There's somebody on the back straightaway, well to the inside of the racetrack. And I wonder if it's Kyle Petty and he ran himself out of gas. 45 ran out of gas. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There was a car on the back straightaway. It's not there anymore. It disappeared now. I think Kyle Petty ran it out of gas and pulled it behind the pit wall. It wasn't even behind the pit wall. He pulled it behind the, like one of those like openings for the AMR safety team on the back straightaway. He's in with the campers on the back stretch now. Always stay green. There's no caution. I think it was Petty, too. I feel like I've seen that on this game before. But I feel like we've gotten a caution for it before. We didn't get a caution there. Caution would have really helped me save fuel. Considering I'm having to push this entire run so far trying to catch the 48. Still 2 seconds behind Johnson. One lap car between the two and a lot of clean air in front of the 48 for now at least. Hoping to make this race on 2 more stops. Got to get to lap 100. Couple tenths quicker than Johnson that last lap. See, he's able to save, though, and I can't. He might have been saving behind Kyle Petty that entire run, too. Petty led quite a few laps before he ran out of gas or fell asleep behind the wheel, whatever the heck he ended up doing. Judo, thanks for tuning in. The fantasy driver just up ahead. 132 car. Try to catch some draft on the front stretch. Yeah, I'm consistently about 2 to 3 tenths quicker than Johnson right now. Maybe pushing a little harder than him too. That is very well the case. Widen my arc to get around the lapper. He seemed like he was going to try to pinch me off quite a bit, so I tried to get him to go wide into the corner. It worked. And 4 tenths quicker than Johnson that last lap. Yeah, bad luck for the race win at Homestead, and really Indy for that matter, too. We definitely had race-winning cars in both those races and finished 6th and 4th. Hoping to turn that around today. Still have not led a lap through 72 laps in this race. It's a fuel conservation race just like we had 2 days ago at Indianapolis. If this race goes caution-free, which so far it has. And both Johnson and Martin pitted right at lap 50. On the Brickyard 400 race, Johnson was pacing to be what looked to be a lap short on fuel going into the final fuel run. And he pitted at lap 129, or sorry, 119 of 160. He had to go 41 laps to the end instead of 39.40 like he had done the whole race before that. He was able to stretch it that extra lap to be able to make it. Again, Johnson Martin right at that number. Jeff Gordon in 3rd isn't all that far behind us. I don't know when he pitted exactly. Not entirely sure. I think he's closed that gap on us quite a bit, though. I mean, I was quicker than him because I caught him and passed him. Lap 74 at the line here. Got to try to make it at least 1 more lap. Ideally, I'd like to make it 2 more laps before we get to halfway out of gas. Slide to that outside lane off turn 2. Catch the draft on the back straightaway behind Johnson. I'm honestly surprised they made it as far into this run on gas with where I'm at right now. All right. Lap 75. And back to the sitting and waiting game again. I would think undoubtedly Jimmy Johnson's going to lead the most laps in this race. He did not have a top 10 yesterday after finishing first and second the 2 races before that. We just hit halfway out of gas on lap 75 in turn 3. So looking to be a little less than a quarter lap short of being able to make it to our number at lap 100. Just ran the fastest lap of the day that last time at 38.704. That's one thing. I mean, the lap times are quick in the draft, but you are able to save quite a bit down the straightaways just with the airflow alone by running behind another car like this. It worked the first run, so trying to make it happen again on this second run. .704 now, 4 thousandths of a second, excuse me, quicker than a couple laps ago when initially the fastest lap of the race was ran by Mark Martin. We're going to take our first field pass of the race at the start-finish line this time by. That may help Martin save a little gas as well. If he runs a slightly slower pace than that of the other drivers that will run as when the AI takes over with Mark Martin. We'll swap to Jamie McMurray in the 26 car first. Three wide, middle for McMurray. I'm not taking over yet. I'll wait till we get clear of this 3 wide mess. There we go. All right, Jamie Mack back in the 17th place position, about 24 seconds off the lead. Big run in line behind Michael Waltrip. Oh boy. I may have overdrove the corner there. Took Waltrip with me. I think Waltrip got the worst end of that. We're good. We're good. My bad, Mikey. I think he's going to be a rival with Jamie McMurray now. Whoops. Golly. I'm starting to wonder if McMurray's car is just a little too tight now. I was not doing this with Mark Martin. Made contact with Jeremy Mayfield's left rear corner panel too. By the way, this Irwin Tools paint scheme, I've always liked it growing up. Even when Kurt Busch drove the 97 car, it had a similar paint scheme. Part of why I wanted to make sure I bought a die cast of it. I have a 1/64 scale die cast of this McMurray car, and then I also have the 1/24 scale Kurt Busch from 2004 championship winning car with Irwin Tools scheme. Sucker for these blue, yellow, blue, gold paint schemes. Tigers down 3-0 already in the first inning. Yeah, coming off a shutout yesterday, too. All right, we'll swap to Matt Kenseth next. Kenseth in 10. Dale Jr. up ahead. It looks like Bobby Labonte as well. I think they're both for position. Then Kurt Busch might be able to get to 3 cars here and get Kenseth to 7th over the next few laps. Caution free, we're almost halfway through this race already. This race is going to be barely over 2 hours at the rate we're going at. 1 pit stop to this point. Dale Jr. just got by Bobby Labonte for 8th. Labonte staying close to him, maybe trying to get back around. Both cars catching up on Kurt Busch. Labonte looks slow off turn 2, and if they run side by side down the back, Kenseth's going to get a massive run. He's definitely getting a massive run in the draft behind Labonte on that back straightaway. Looks to the inside of Dale Jr. Pass made. Labonte back to 8th. Kenseth in 9th. Kenseth just ran his fastest lap of the day, 38.645. And couldn't find a way underneath the 43 there. Backed up the corner entry. Trying to get a bigger run on the backstretch. With that being said, got it to stick there somehow. Might get them both. I couldn't quite clear the 2. I got by the 43, though. Side by side for 7th. Next lap will go to Greg Biffle. That was not a clean pass. These two didn't look like former teammates right there. Got a little dirty.
Okay, buddy, let's do it.
Biffle in 4th. Johnson still leading. Curious to know if somebody else is going to try to stretch the next fuel run as long as Kyle Petty did the last time. He went, what, to like lap 64 before he finally either brought it into the pits or ran out of gas, one or the other. Maybe both. Could be him again if he's still in the race, I guess, but I don't know. I think he ran out of gas. Little's making it quite a ways on his tank. He hasn't even hit a quarter of a tank of gas left yet in the run. Little underneath the 107 car. Oh boy, he crowded me big time there. That was all on him. That was all on him that time. I had zero room to make that corner. I was on the white line as he made contact with it. That was rigorous. At least the fifth place car is quite a ways back. We'll go to Mark Martin until the end of this next fuel run, as Martin sits in the second place position. And trying to play catch up with Jimmy Johnson yet again. And hopefully trying to make it to lap 100 before pitting. Also got to make sure I don't speed on pit road this time and lose time to Johnson again, so I'm not having to push extremely hard trying to get back to him. 1.2 seconds behind the 48 car. Quite a few cars on pit road making their way down for pit stop number 2 in tonight's race in Michigan. Let the cycling begin once again. Just now getting into the flashing, whatever color that is, yellow, orange, whatever it is. I'm colorblind, so I don't know what it is. But it gets to the darker red, though. When we'll have a couple laps of gas left. So we should easily make it to lap 100 this time. I think somehow I actually saved more this run than what I did the last run. We'll see if the same can be said for Jimmy Johnson, who will at least get to lap 98 this time by at the line. Mark Martin about 0.8 of a second behind him. I want to try to get right to his back bumper again onto pit road. Just got to make sure I don't speed like I did last time. I wish I could like shove him onto pit road and force him into speeding. I don't think that's going to work. Probably end up wrecking if I try doing that. Probably what would happen. Well, lap 99. Johnson Martin still here. Martin still has not led a lap yet. There's a way for me to go a lap longer than Johnson. It'd be ideal. You pit at lap 50, so if he pits at lap 100, Maybe I could try to make it to lap 101 at least. I mean, the further I can go past lap 100, that's only making me even better on fuel the rest of the way. And I think Johnson's pitting this time. McMurray's on pit road. I think Jimmy Johnson's on his way in, which is a lap shy. Johnson a lap shy of lap 100. So this is going to get Mark Martin his first lap lead. Finally gets 5 bonus points. Took half the race after qualifying 20th to get to the lead, but we have gotten there eventually. So it was about a little over half a second behind the 48 when he pitted. He'll probably cycle out ahead of us by pitting before us too, but if he's a lap short on fuel to make it a one stop after this one, it's good for me. But he was like that at Indy a couple races ago, and he still ended up winning. So, we'll see. Might not really mean anything now. There's Jimmy Johnson. And he's going to go a lap down until this 6-car pits. Martin with the block on the backstretch, trying to get out in front of the 48. Johnson going to be on fresher tires, and he's going to look to try to make a pass on Martin, but Martin's going to try to stay in front of him as Mark will go at least one more lap. I'm going to pit this time by. I'm going to pit at lap 102. Johnson to the outside, trying to get by Martin. That's not going to work. Just couldn't carry as much speed on that outer lane into the corner. Holding him up on the back straightaway. Johnson staying in the draft. And Mark Martin will be pitting this time. Can't let the 48 underneath him because Martin is coming in, and here he comes. Slides the tires initially. No speeding penalty there. I just spammed through my pit selection. Okay. I want to make sure I was still getting a full tank of gas. I didn't mean to spam through it. All right. Four tires, no adjustments. Once again. Yeah, we'll see where we cycle. Diffel just now pitting. Oh, there goes Jimmy. Yeah, I figured he was going to get out. I mean, he pitted like 3 laps before me, so even with a clean stop, it made sense he was going to cycle out in front of us. There goes Jeff Gordon. So we're going to be back in third again. Good thing I didn't speed that time, otherwise we'd be even further behind. But I mean, he's going to have to save gas either this run or the following run if he's going to want to make it on fuel. So I'll have a slower pace at some point. Tony Raines still out on the racetrack and leads at Michigan in the GFS Marketplace 400. Well, it sounds like Kyle Petty, who ran out of gas earlier, maybe down a cylinder or something. Maybe he had an engine issue. But he's going to be slow as he returns to the racetrack. And we'll have to see if Tony Raines is on the same strategy that Kyle Petty wasn't trying to stretch this run out as far as he can. It costed Petty, obviously. Will return, but again, he's going to be very slow. Tony racing clean tonight? As far as I know, I haven't really seen him. Made a little contact with him earlier, I guess, in the race. He's not a rival with me in this series. It was just the Busch series. I think with the career mode, it would transfer from one series to the next, but not with this. Completely different season. With 2 seconds off the lead, Jeff Gordon just continues to chip away at the 48 and the 6. Hendrick Motorsports has won the last 2 races, with Johnson winning the Brickyard 400. Kyle Busch won yesterday at Homestead. For his first win of the season, he was 22nd in points before getting that win yesterday. It was actually his first top 5 of the season as well. Just goes to show anybody can win any given race. Martin continues to close on Gordon for second. And also faster than the race leader, Jimmy Johnson. 38.555, that last lap for Martin, is fastest of the race. Tony Raines continues to lead. Johnson will soon be the leader once Tony Raines ends up pitting. Martin to the inside of the 24, off turn 2 for third at the moment. That was a deep slide job there, and a pass is made for third. Try to draft off Johnson through the tri-oval, and got to make sure Gordon doesn't get under me into turn 1 at the same time. Yeah, I'm more worried about Gordon. Try to stay low, stay in front of him. Did exactly that. There we go. Martin looking for a run. Gets to the inside of the 48. For the eventual lead, at least now for second. 38.4 flat that time for Mark Martin, a 10th and a half faster than his fastest lap of the day. That was unbelievable. Now runs in line behind Tony Raines, who continues to stay out of the pits. Oh, they went wide. And Mark Martin's going to get to the lead. Off turn 4. 90 laps to go. Mark Martin leads. And we will take our final field swap of the day while that is going on, and we'll go to Jamie McMurray in the 26. Murray in no man's land. There's not a single soul anywhere around him, both in front or behind. What would I win gold in? I feel like I can do a decent job in badminton. I would like to say I'm pretty good with ping pong or table tennis, but I'm not. I would be nowhere near what the Olympic athletes are. I feel like they're going to be way faster than I am. I used to be able to get that English on it, though. It definitely wouldn't be swimming. I can tell you that right now. I feel like I'd struggle to doggy paddle. I wonder how much of a head start I would need to beat Michael Phelps in swimming. It'd have to be a lot. It would have to be a huge head start. Like, if we're doing 200 meters, I think I'd have to have a 100-meter head start. I'm not kidding. I don't think I could swim that quick. I'd have a better chance of beating him on feet. I think I just saw Tony Raines on the bottom of the track on the entrance area of turn 1. So he ran it out of gas, more than likely, just like Kyle Petty did. Like, I haven't even swam in so long, too. Like, there'd be no chance I'd be able to swim. I don't know what your athletic prowess is, but you might be able to beat me in swimming. Like, I can almost guarantee I'm not quick. Just because I haven't done it in so long. Like, that alone. Like, I probably haven't been, like, in a pool or anything of that nature since, like, middle school. I might drown. I might drown before I actually make it 100 meters. I need floaties. Particular devices. Mark Martin's still leading out there. Not sure if he's going to be able to hold it the entire rest of this fuel run over Jimmy Johnson, but so far so good. Full noodles. Yeah, I'm not much of a swimmer. I'm the kind of guy you'd find in the lazy river. In the lazy river, getting my tan on. Isn't Corbin Carroll like extremely quick? I'm not slow, but I'm not like extremely fast either. Like, back to, like, growing up, like playing basketball in my years, and I was kind of like in the middle when we would do sprints as far as like the team. I wasn't the slowest, but I was like in the middle. I wasn't one of the quickest. I was usually one that hustled the most, though. Like, I was always the first one down on the floor on defense and offense, for that matter. I get a lot of layups out of that just by sprinting. I had good pace of my energy and not getting like too tired that I was able to sprint the floor late. But as far as like just raw speed, like if we had sprints or something and everybody was just flat out trying to run as hard as they could, yeah, I'd be behind them a little. Behind the fastest. Yeah, I'll be John Cena's last opponent. I'd be honored to be John Cena's last opponent at a WrestleMania. All right, 80 laps left. One more lap will transfer to Matt Kenseth for a few, and then we'll go back to Mark Martin for the rest of the race as Martin continues to lead at the Michigan International Speedway. Trying to bounce back at what has been a caution-free race so far. By bounce back, I mean just trying to get back to victory lane. Finishes have been good still, 6th and 4th the last 2 races, but trying to get a win for the first time since leading every single lap at Phoenix 3 races ago. From the pole, nonetheless, in that race as well. I don't think Kyle Petty ever actually returned to the racetrack. I haven't seen him since our crew chief said something about him coming back in. All right, so Kenseth in 8th here, 79 laps left. Should be able to get him to 7th, which is where we left off with him, but Kurt Busch has got back around him during that last pit stop sequence. There might be a lap car a little further up ahead as well. Bobby Labonte's lost a little touch from the 8:17 and the 2 as well. He's actually in front of Dale Jr., but not anymore. Run through turns 1 and 2. Kenseth not clear of Kurt Busch at the moment. Kurt with a big side draft on that back straightaway. Kenseth going to stay underneath him though into turn 3. Kenseth to the apron. Oh boy, slid up the track, made a little contact with Kurt Busch. And that allows for Busch to get right back by him. I mean, so, like, I work out regularly. I'd argue I'm in, like, I don't think I'm in the best shape of my life. I'll take that back. Like, 2 years ago, I was bigger, like, weight-wise. I weighed, like, 206. Right now, I'm, like, 192, 194, kind of fluctuating between there. So, I'm, like, I'm almost to where I was a couple years ago. But, I don't lift very heavy, though. So I would probably get out lifted. By somebody else who works out regularly. More than likely. Unless I am bigger than them, you know, weight-wise. I think being taller and long-limbed is kind of a detriment to me as far as, like, just lifting more. Especially for benching, because it's having the longer limbs, I have to go a further amount to get the full extension than what somebody like shorter than me that would weigh more would be. They'd definitely beat me. All right, well, back to Mark Martin for the rest of the race here. 75 laps to go. 6-car leads at the Michigan International Speedway. And he's pacing pretty well on fuel at this point in the run, at least. And we shall see if Mark Martin is going to be able to make it all the way to the end on one more pit stop. The last pitted at lap 102, so I'd like to think that he can make it all the way to the end. The Great Golly. No chance. That man weighs well over 100 pounds more than me. He's more longer limbed than me, but he also outweighs me by quite a bit. He's still probably a massive dude, muscle-wise. I don't think he is, you know, what he was a while ago. I don't know how old he is either. When he was in WWE there full-time, late 2000s, early 2010s, I don't know how old he was. I would imagine he was probably in his 30s, but I don't know. I mean, he was such a normally large, you know, human being that It's hard to tell exactly how old he was. He looked like he was in his 40s, but he probably wasn't. He was probably in his 30s. Why are you guys trying to put me in the ring with these larger-than-life human beings? I feel like you guys just want to see me get my ass kicked. That's what I'm starting to get a hunch. We had John Cena in there. We had the Big Show, the Great Khali. Like, these are all, like, much larger human beings than me. Roman Reigns. Yeah, see, there's another one. Put me in the ring with, like, a Dominic Mysterio. I could take Dominic. We're similar in age. I'm bigger than that guy, at least. Oh, wow. Jeff Gordon's in second. Jimmy Johnson isn't even the second-place car anymore. He might be in fuel conservation mode, to be completely honest. I have no clue how far Jeff Gordon's gone in his fuel run the last several times. But Gordon now is all of a sudden caught Mark Martin. Now, Gordon did lead laps in the very, very beginning of this race. So with 70 laps to go, we'll see if he can maybe make a pass on Martin for the lead. He's going to look to the outside. Martin all the way down to the apron through turns 1 and 2. I was just trying to make sure Gordon wasn't going to tag me in the right rear. Pinch me down quite a bit. What a move. Jeff Gordon passes Mark Martin on the outside for the lead at Michigan. Rey Mysterio, Rey Mysterio's a small dude, but he's actually pretty big for his size. I feel like 5'6" or something like that. Like, he's pretty huge for his size, especially in his prime. I mean, obviously he's slimmed down, a little bit now, but he's also pushing 50 years old too. Kyle Petty outside of the track, and Jeff Gordon's going to get passed for the lead again by Mark Martin. Martin using Petty as a pick. And the pass is made yet again. Ray's got that dad strength too. I feel like if you're a dad, you're just automatically like a little bit stronger than anybody who isn't one. Something about it. Maybe I'll find that strength one day. I might be able to take Triple H now. That's only because he's got a pacemaker, so it's kind of not a fair fight. I wouldn't do that to my guy, though. He's my favorite of all time. I'd put him over. It's 24 car. Jeff Gordon showing some speed. As he looks to try to make a pass on Mark Martin yet again. Gordon to the outside of the 6 car of Mark Martin. That is the second time Jeff Gordon has made a pass on the outside of the 6. He's not clear yet, though. Martin's still battling to the inside. Now, Gordon is clear. Martin can kind of go back to saving a little bit more gas again. I'd like to run him out of gas. I know I pitted lap 102 there, but still want to save a little bit. I've led most of this run, so I imagine I'm burning a lot more fuel. I think Rhea Ripley would kick my ass too. Here's something tells me she's got more testosterone in her body than I do. I think the problem is I'm just too nice.
The 2024 car.
Girls can't. I still think I'd get beat up. I'm not a real man. I'm way too nice of a human being. I'm not a fighter guy. I'm more of a leave the scene if things start to get intense guy. That's what I am. Yeah, there you go, Billy. Billy's on my side. Denny Hamlin, next car to go a lap down as Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin run nose to tail at the front of the field. Caution free at Michigan with 61 laps to go. A fuel conservation race by the way things are playing out right now. Gordon, Martin to the inside of Hamlin. Put the 11 a lap down. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's not much of a height difference. There's like 6 inches, but there is 6 inches is actually quite a big height difference. 8 inches, sorry, 8 inches is quite a bit of a height difference. I'd probably be to like his neck, like the bottom of his neck. Martin driving by Jeff Gordon yet again as Gordon. Another time he gets caught behind Kyle Petty. That's another chance for Martin to trade the lead back. They're struggling more to pass the slow car of Petty than what they were last night to get by the 178 and the 10 of Scott Riggs. Not to mention that he weighs like, I mean, he's probably slimmed down quite a bit now, but he still probably outweighs me by a good 150 plus pounds. I guarantee it. That's be good to watch. It'd be good to watch for you guys. Martin gonna lead another lap. I don't think there's any chance to beat Jimmy Johnson for the most laps led. Oh boy, a little contact. A little more contact. Gordon's strong, man. He can really whip around me on the outside if he wants to. Dang. who will have more fuel in their race cars to try to make it to the end. Will Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin both be good to the finish, or is it just going to be Mark Martin? It's more than likely. I'd say more likely than not. 6 of Martin's going to be able to make it on this one more stop. Cars are frequently coming into the pits. BJ Yaley about to go lap down. He might have made a pit stop. Not entirely sure if he has or hasn't. Quite a train of lap cars just up ahead. Truex just coming out of the pits. Then there's Dave Blaney, Jeremy Mayfield up here. Yaley right out of the rearview mirror of both of them. Gordon getting that draft off Truex. Martin trying to stay behind Gordon. Still trying to save a little bit more gas. An eighth of a tank of gas left for Mark Martin. Jamie McMurray's into the pits now. Jeremy Mayfield pitting. That's one less lap car that both Gordon and Martin have to deal with. Gordon led that lap at the line. Martin got underneath him as Gordon got side drafted a little bit by the one of Martin Truex Jr. Sight driving off into turn 1, trying to stay with the 24. $51 to go. Well, we made it to lap 150. 24 and the 6 have both made it to lap 150. Oh, Kyle Petty in the 45 up on this outside lane. A little contact with Jeff Gordon now. Martin got picked behind Waltrip. Got stuffed on that outside lane, nowhere to go. Not 100% sure here, but it looks like Jeff Gordon may be pitting this time by. And again, this will give the lead to Mark Martin in the 6. Yep. Martin back out in front off turn 4. 49 laps to go at the Michigan International Speedway. Still caution free in the GFS Marketplace 400. Looks like we're going to go a little further than the last run, too. Well, maybe about the same. Went 50, then 52 laps. Going to try to make it one more. There's Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin easily going to cycle out of the pits in front of Gordon. Couple lap cars going to be able to get by him on the back straightaway as well. Waltrip Mayfield at least. Martin will stay out of the pits this time by also. Martin going to pit this time off turn 4. On his way in, it'll be a full tank of gas, no adjustments, 4 tires. Final stop of the day. All right. There goes Jeff Gordon. Pitted a few laps before Martin, so I figured he was going to be able to get to the lead first. I think Jimmy Johnson might have blown an engine because we have not seen that 48 car in a long while. I thought he was going to be the one to beat here today. It looks like it's going to be between Gordon and Martin, who both seem to be able to make it on field to the end. There will be drivers that will have to pit a 4th time. Craig Biffle just now on pit road as he will lose the lead to Gordon. Martin back to 2nd. And 45 laps to go. Well, 4 lap cars between the top 2 in the running order. Martin should get to Gordon here in plenty of time. Assuming Kyle Petty's still in the race, we'll catch him quite a few times yet before the finish as well. Crazy how this game works where we get a lack of cautions for 2 straight races and then we come back. Homestead, we get 11 of them, and then we're right back to a caution-free race in Michigan, at least with 42 laps to go. It is caution-free at this point. Martin still trying to make a pass on both Michael Waltrip and Bobby Labonte. 3 wide to the bottom underneath both cars and clear. I think Jeff Gordon might have struggled off turn 4 trying to get by Kyle Petty, and Martin is now within a second of the lead. Just close enough to get a little bit of a draft on the back straightaway in the 24. Still going to be patient. I mean, I'm not going to lead the most laps in this race today. I would imagine Johnson should be able to get that most laps led mark, and still going to worry about saving fuel here to the finish. $40 laps to go yet this time by, even though we're probably about 4 laps to the good on fuel. Better safe than sorry. Only about 3 lap pressure tires in Gordon. I don't think that's really going to do much as far as trying to save anything extra. Full on draft down the back straightaway. Just a little tight. Definitely gets tighter in that middle to upper groove when following Gordon. Really jumps up the track more in 3 and 4, I feel, than 1 and 2. Joe Buck in the broadcast booth for the Cards tonight. St. Louis native. Both him and his father. It does kind of stink not hearing him broadcast the World Series every year now that he's got the ESPN deal with Monday Night Football. I always thought he caught a lot of flack for nothing. I thought he did a great job at doing his job and doing it correctly. He's never one to really make any mistakes. And despite what fans like to say about him, I feel like he does get pretty energetic in the booth. At times, you know, maybe there's certain times where you would wish that he would have gotten a little more energetic, I guess, but I feel like he's definitely getting better with the years as they go by as well. Gordon Martin passing a ton of lap cars here. Work their way through traffic further and further. Once again, this is a caution-free race at the Michigan International Speedway here today. And we are down to just 34 laps to go. Martin just kind of waiting in the wings behind Jeff Gordon, being patient. It's going to be a two-car race for the finish. Gordon's got a really fast car, so this pass isn't going to be easy to make. Really, the only times I've passed him is when he's got stuck behind the 45 of Kyle Petty. He's pretty slow around this racetrack. I mean, if you get stuck behind him again, I'll go and try to make the pass on him, but I'm not looking to make my move yet, because he's just going to blow right back around me, and I don't want to put myself in an uncompromised position where he's going to be at a threat of trying to pass me. I'm going down to the bottom to block me there. I'll let him go. We'll both get by Kyle Petty with ease into turn one. No pressure there. Still got 32 to go. See, I was wondering if he was going to get stuck behind him again. It seems like he struggled to pass him way more than I have. Next lap car is Jamie McMurray, last car in the lead lap. He was in 17th place the last we saw of him. So over half the field is definitely a lap down with this race not having a single yellow flag. McMurray might get in the way of Gordon here. Only with Martin being a teammate with him, but I'd assume he'll probably just end up staying out of the way of both cars as he does through turns 3 and 4. Martin, Gordon clear. McMurray with these. Still trying to save some gas. Again, I think I'm 4 laps to the good, but you just never know. Looks like Kyle Busch is now the last car in the lead lap. And Brian Vickers, I believe. So 2 Hendrick Motorsports Chevys in front of the race leader, who is a Hendrick Motorsports Chevy. Hopefully they don't get in the way of us here, and we can just kind of keep up with Gordon with the pace we're running. Busch and Vickers side by side off turn 4, it looks like. Big block by Gordon. Gonna just kind of take the inside under both the 25 and the 5 here. Both the 5 and the 25 are cleared. Now looks like Robbie Gordon up ahead, who I believe has already been lapped once in the race. Got to make it to the start-finish line this time around before getting to the halfway mark on fuel in order to assume that we will make it on gas the rest of this race. There you go, 25 laps left at the Michigan International Speedway. This is making Jeff Gordon push a little harder on his own. This is saving our tires, too. I haven't really had to deal with much tire wear in this one, but so the thought of saving him is nice, so that way when I get in front of him, I don't have to worry about the car getting aero loose. But he's passed me on the outside a couple times cleanly, so I mean, I'm going to have to block high when I do make the pass for the lead. It's not going to be easy to hang on to, which is another reason why I'm really trying to wait it out. There we go. Let Gordon go here. Give him plenty of room to get by Petty, Riggs, Joe Nemechek. Just trying to stay in the draft of him. Cleared them all. Nemechek might have been on the lead lap, but I don't know about the rest of them. I know Petty definitely wasn't on the lead lap. Might have lifted a little too much there. Saw the exhaust flames on the left side come out of the car. All right, here's the 149. I now believe Casey King, that 9 car, is the last car in the lead lap currently. Yeah, halfway out of fuel at this point in the run. Doing good. Casey Kane was one of those drivers in contention for the win yesterday at Homestead. Did not get it done, though. Still ended up with a top 5 finish. Finished in 5th. And he's borderline top 10 tonight. I think he's a little outside the top 10, though. Based from where we've seen McMurray, and I think he's only a handful of positions ahead of him, at best. Raw on Sci-Fi tonight? Yeah, that's right. I didn't know about that until I was watching SmackDown last week and on Friday, and they mentioned something about it over the broadcast. It's because the Olympics going on. They've got a bunch of stuff Olympic-wise on USA Network. Kind of stinks the go-home show. Probably be on Sci-Fi next week then, too. To be another big one after SummerSlam. $18 laps to go at Michigan. Martin Gordon 1-2. It's just like 1998 all over again. Trainskate, thanks for tuning in. Nope, no caution yet. Caution free as this race stands. Hoping it stays that way for that matter. And it is a fuel mileage race, although Martin is a few laps to the good on fuel, about 4 laps to the good. Jeff Gordon is also looking to be about a lap to the good. So not only they have put themselves in the position to win for fuel purposes, but they've also been 2 of the fastest cars in the field all day today. How many races went caution-free? Only Indy. Brickyard 400 just 2 races ago. That was the only one that's gone caution-free on the Cup Series this season. I had 2 in the Busch Series. Looking to match that just in the last 3 races. That car blowing up on the inside of the track. Looked like maybe it was Jeff Green in the 66. Tough to tell exactly if it was or not. He's had a couple of good runs going the last couple races, but if that is Green that blew a motor late, it's highly unfortunate for him. I think we're going to be catching the 45 car of Kyle Petty. Probably into turns 1 and 2 here. 15 laps to go. Martin's going to pull out to make the pass on Gordon this time. With Petty up on the outside of the racetrack, Gordon still stuck behind Petty. Big dive by Martin through the corner. Gordon still underneath him and now finally clears the 45 off turn 2. So 15 to go. Martin's out in front. Gordon, I think, is faster than me when he's got... Well, I don't know. It's just... I think whoever leads is just a sitting duck. The draft is so big here. I mean, I've been able to pass him with these. He's been able to pass me with these. 14 to go. I mean, that pass is definitely too early. Way too early. There's a pass I had to make, though, at the same time. I mean... I hate to do this late in the race especially, but I am going to have to pause this race for a second because I got to get this laptop on a charger. Almost went the whole race without having to plug it in. I don't want to lose the stream here, especially this late. Got 13 laps to go. So we'll have to pause it for dramatic effect here when I get to the back straightaway. All right. I'll make this quick. Try to at least. Oh. There we go. See, all I had to do was get a charger. I didn't have to switch the end of the race to USA Network like NBC, so we'll be good. Can you imagine if I had like a secondary YouTube channel? I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to finish this race on another stream here. Just end this one and boot another stream on another channel. Just get the last 13 laps in. Gordon a couple tenths quicker than Martin that last lap, trying to mitigate his runs by getting out of the draft. Gordon about 2 tenths quicker than Martin that last lap. You're just sitting duck, though. I'm not going to be able to hold him off. If he gets alongside of me, I think I'm just going to let him go again. Sit and draft behind him. And most cautions in the race, I'm not sure on this season. I have to go back and look. We had 11 at Homestead last night. It had to be pretty close. I feel like we had a lot at Martinsville when we raced there. 11 to go. Gordon only a tenth quicker than Martin that last lap. Martin trying to get a draft off the lap car of Paul Menard up here.
Nice.
10 laps to go with the Michigan International Speedway. And remember, some cars are going to have to pit here to the end of the race. Just saw somebody pitting off turn 4. And there's several others following that car to pit road. But we do know, again, Martin and Gordon are going to be plenty good to make it to the end. If we get a green-white checker, you have to go past the scheduled distance for one restart. Then it might get a little tight. I'd say it'd be tighter for Gordon than for me, but... All right, here comes Gordon with a run. Into turns 3 and 4. Martin protects the bottom of the racetrack. 9 to go at the line. Gordon trying to get a slightly better run off the exit of turn 4. Working to that outside lane. Martin trying to break the draft on the bottom. He'll protect the bottom into turn 1. And Gordon is all over the 6. He's passed me on the outside twice already, so... Yeah, even though I'm protecting the bottom, that's what I would want to do. He'll have speed to get around me otherwise. Eight to go. There he comes. I maybe could have pulled up there. It would have been close. So fast. Look at that. It's powering by. It's all right. Plenty of time yet. 2-mile racetrack. Just got to pick our spot. I don't want to pass him yet either. Save our tires a little more. Probably catch Kyle Petty one more time in this race. That might be the best chance to get around him, honestly. Well, if Petty pits, we might not actually catch him again. And obviously, as long as I just stay in the draft behind Jeff Gordon, I'm going to stay within a pretty close proximity of him at the very least. 6 to go. Should both be able to get by this 119 car here. Yep, there's Petty. Yeah, that's going to be my best chance. Just going to have to get by him again. Martin to the inside into 3 and 4, and hopefully... Oh, the other lap car, the 119, passed Gordon into turn 3. And then Gordon got stuck behind him and the 45 of Kyle Petty. And he lost way more time there than what he did the last time we had to get by the 24 for the lead when the 45 is coming up quickly. 5 to go. Martin back out in front. I mean, now I'm just going to have to hold on to the end at this point. Hopefully it's not too early. I think I might be far enough out ahead of Gordon. I'm breaking this draft on the back straightaway, too. I want no semblance of Gordon trying to get any sort of a draft on me. There's about 9/10 of a second off the lead at the start-finish line that last time by. Not quite close enough to this next car to try to get a draft off of him. It just came out of the pits. I'm keeping the inside line on the straightaways. Gordon a 10th quicker that last lap. 4 to go. Jamie McMurray back on pit road. And quite a few cars having to pit to the finish here. We're not going to have many finish on the lead lap with not only this race going caution-free, but some drivers having to pit a 4th time in this one as well. And again, Gordon should be good on fuel to the end. But leading as many laps at the end of this run and now falling behind Martin here in these closing laps. We know Mark Martin's about 4 laps to the good. 3 to go at the line. I like the gap I'm managing right now. I'm just hoping he doesn't get in my draft because that's when he's going to have his run again. And we are going to have to block to the top. I've been giving him the top, and he's passed me up there 3 times cleanly. So I'm going to have to take whatever line away. And I mean, if he gets underneath me, he'll pass me way quicker than if he rolls around the top. And he caught a little bit of my draft on the back straightaway there. I probably should have cut down to the bottom a little more. Mark Martin trying to win his 13th race of the season. 2 to go. 4 more miles at the Michigan International Speedway, a track that the 6 of Martin has won at before. Trying to do it again, of course. Had a good track for Roush Fenway Racing over the years. Full a few wins here as well, 4 of them to be exact. Gordon trying to get that draft. Martin going to break it on the back straightaway. Has that low entry into turn 3. White flag this time by. I think we got out ahead of him enough. That 119 car getting in Gordon's way as well really helped us that much more. White flag, 1 lap to go for Mark Martin. It'll be our 2nd caution-free race of the season. About a half a second lead into turn 1. Gordon trying that middle to upper groove to get something of a run on the back straightaway, but Martin still staying out of the draft. Actually, it looked like I might have pulled him a little bit through 1 and 2. He's too far back. Just fell out of the draft for too long, and he just wasn't able to build up enough of a run to get back by Martin in these final 5 laps. Mark Martin is going to win the GFS Marketplace 400 at Michigan, win 13 of the season. Let's go. Let's go. Flawless race. 6/10 of a second win there. Actually, was about a 10th quicker than him that last lap. He went wide through 1 and 2, and I was able to pick up more time on him there. Yeah. Let's go. Johnson did finish the race. I thought he might have blown an engine because I didn't see him for a while after that second set of pit stops, but he finished 4th. And he still led the most laps in this one. 73 laps led for Johnson. Mark Martin led for 45. Jeff Gordon actually led more than us. 54 laps led for him. 9 for Greg Biffle during green flag pit stops. He also led a few laps early in the race as well. 2 hours, 12 minutes, 4 seconds, 181.71 mile per hour average race speed. This has to be the quickest race in Michigan history. It's one of the quicker NASCAR races in history, really. We're only a few miles per hour off the fastest race ever. 26 lead changes, probably wasn't that many. Again, it tends to add more I remember when I led every lap in a race this season at Phoenix like 3 races ago, and it said there were still 6 lead changes. Like, I don't understand how that happened when I led every lap. But yeah, Martin first, Gordon second, Biffle third, Jimmy Johnson fourth, and Kurt Busch fifth. Matt Kenseth sixth, J.J. Yaley seventh, another top 10 for him. Only 6 cars finished on the lead lap. Ryan Newman seventh, Tony Stewart eighth, Denny Hamlin ninth. I missed one somewhere in there. Kenseth sixth, seventh for Yaley, Newman eighth, Stewart ninth, Denny Hamlin 10th. So that rounded out the top 10. Our other teammate Jamie McMurray finished 2 laps down in 20th. I think he had to pit again before the end there. And as far as DNFs, we saw Elliott Sadler blow an engine at lap 45, David Stremming lap 62, same for Harvick. Jeff Burton at lap 80 blew an engine. Tony Raines, saw him run out of gas at lap 113. He led 6 laps. Chandler, fantasy driver, DNF, finishing 38th with an engine failure. Wells blew an engine late. Jeff Green, I saw blow an engine late. A lot of engine failures tonight. Kyle Petty finished with many laps down. So 8 DNFs in tonight's race. Eight DNFs and another win for Mark Martin. How about you? Tomorrow night, Talladega, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A little bit later of a start time with it being a work night for me. Give me some extra time. Make sure I get here and get my workout in before the stream. So 6:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll go live tomorrow night. Again, Talladega Super Speedway. Our next race on this custom schedule season. Got a 622-point lead over Jimmy Johnson, who gets a top 5 tonight. But again, a win for Mark Martin. Johnson did lead the most laps. Kenseth still third in points. Gordon Ford, Tony Stewart moves into the top 5 in points now. Elliott Sadler, who was 5th, lost 3 spots in the standings with the engine failure, unfortunately for him. Yaley moved up a spot to 12th now with his top 10 yet again. He had a top 10 either the last race or the race before also. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow night, Talladega, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. See ya. Have a good rest of your Monday night, and we'll be back better than ever again tomorrow. Try to go for back-to-back wins.